it keeps happening for the Edmonton Oilers as they finished off the New York Islanders last night in overtime, which was a very interesting game by many standards. But before we get into that one, make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest as we are now on the road to 2,500 subscribers. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the ride as we get into what seems to be a very up and down Oilers season. To take a quote from former general manager Ken Holland, but without further ado, 999 problems. Yes, Connor McDavid was only 5 points away from 1,000 last night against the New York Islanders, but only achieved 4 points last night. He is one short of 1,000. Still an amazing feat nonetheless. 99th player to ever score 999, but hopefully he achieves that on Thursday night against the Nashville Predators. But let's get into last night's game. A 4-3 overtime victory by the Edmonton Oilers. You're looking at that score right now and you're thinking, hey, that's not so bad, but it's how we got to overtime that was very interesting. Again, a very up and down game by the Edmonton Oilers. They were all over the New York Islanders, but the Islanders found their way back into this one in the third period, while Leon Draisaitl finished it off in overtime. Leon Draisaitl with 2 goals in the second period, a little over, halfway through a minute into the second period. Leon Draisaitl makes it 1-0, and then Kyle Palmieri off a very deceptive 2-on-1 pass from Maxim Siplikov makes it 1-1, and then the Oilers take a 3-1 lead halfway through the third period. But again, Anders Lee with 2 quick ones in the final 10 minutes of the third period to take this one to overtime. And meanwhile, in overtime, a fantastic shift by Mattias Ekholm, Zach Hyman, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins allows a very title Islander team to not make a change. And then Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and Evan Bouchard sneak their way back onto the ice, and they finish this one off. So McDavid again, 4-point night. I mean, by his standards, that's very quiet, but still, 4-point night, 1 point off of 1,000, fantastic feat. And then the shots on goal, I mean, that alone makes it kind of worried about this team. Of course, New York only achieving 22 shots on net, and then Edmonton peppering Elias Sorokin, but Sorokin keeping the Islanders in this one. You almost got the feeling halfway through this game that Sorokin was going to goalie the Edmonton Oilers, as he's done throughout his 6 games played against the Oilers. Well, 7 last night, including that one. But if you look at the power plays there, the Oilers killed off the Islanders' 2 power plays. So, I mean, PK is getting back into rhythm, and they even got a power play goal of their own. Looking at the hockey stat card here, of course, a very consistent game by the entire roster throughout. Of course, Jeff Skinner somehow in the doghouse of Coach Kris Knoblauch. I mean, he was on the 4th line to start the game last night, when really he should be on the top line with Connor McDavid. He's a goal scorer. Put him next to someone who can make plays. Kris Knoblauch, give him a lot of credit for many things, but, putting Jeff Skinner on the 4th line, not one of them. When asked about, not achieving 1,000 points, Connor McDavid said in the postgame presser, he said, nothing's happened yet, so I guess maybe I'll save that for when it happens, but it's not lost on me the speed to get there and the names that are there, and there are a few of the very best, but nothing's happened, and we got to get ready for another one on Thursday, which is very humble from him. Many times he doesn't, acknowledge personal statistics, personal achievements. He's more of a team player, but it's nice for him to sort of achieve again, that greatness. Even Leon Draisaitl said in the post-game presser, it's not just greatness we're seeing, it's legendary. And, Draisaitl saying that Connor McDavid will go down as the best skilled player of all time, and that's coming from another extremely skilled player. But Kris Knoblauch asked about the penalty kill, and he says, I think the guys on the kill have been doing a heck of a job. I really have, and it's been unfortunate that there have been goals going in, and sometimes that's just the game, but the details have been pretty good. They've been breaking up a lot of plays. Tonight was probably their best, not letting them get set up. I think we have lots to build on, but I've been very happy with it over the last couple days. I know the results haven't been there, but they looked good. And of course, yeah, the PK did look good last night. They made some adjustments, and again, they are trying to get back into a rhythm. Of course, they lost, numerous key pieces to that PK over the summer, so new formations, new units. Again, it takes some time to get used to, and this unit is, last night, pretty well. But the real story last night, not just, McDavid's 4-point night in the win, it was the goaltending. It was a tale of two creases. You can see there through Money Puck, the expected goals. The Islanders, only expecting one goal through the analytics. Meanwhile, the Oilers a little over the 4 goals that they did score last night. So it was, a matter of Ilya Sorokin keeping the Islanders in it, and Stuart Skinner, I hate to say it, actively trying to give the game away. And you can see there the expected goals. I mean, the Islanders, their entire roster is below 50%. They're even below 45%. Meanwhile, Emberson and Skinner are a little over 30%. And meanwhile, I mean, the entire Oiler roster is above 50%. The Islanders were swarmed the entire night by the Edmonton Oilers, but the Oilers only managing to score 4 on Ilya Sorokin. The game could have been out of hand very quickly if it wasn't for Sorokin. Meanwhile, Stuart Skinner, of course, gave up 3, again, awful goals last night, not just on the Kyle Palmieri goal on that 2-on-1 where, the deception by Siplikov sort of fooled Skinner, but even then he should have seen that the pass was coming. As you can see there's his motion, starting against Siplikov, facing Siplikov, expecting the pass, and where he ended up on the Palmieri goal. And I mean, his east to west movement, not exactly the best in the league. His lateral movement, again, not the best. He's not a very quick goaltender. He's good, like, in the zone when everyone is set up facing the shooter head on, but when it's time to make a move east to west, he is not exactly a goaltender you expect to make a big save. And Stephen Valaket on Twitter says, since the 2022-2023 season, Stuart Skinner has faced 81 east-west chances off the rush. So when you're looking on the TV, top to bottom, a 2-on-1 one-timer, the skaters there where they are positioned. 38 goals against, ranked 118 out of 118 goalies that qualify. And that is that's kind of scary. I mean, Stuart Skinner, the starter for the Edmonton Oilers, not that good off the Russian. Stephen Valaket, by the way, former Oiler, even if it was for one game in 13 minutes against the Detroit Red Wings, but still, nonetheless. And he had some more to say about Stuart Skinner. He said the area that Stuart Skinner really struggles with is the east-west game, whether it's 5-on-5, in zone, or off the rush. His movement side to side is, you're talking about the top 64 guys in the league. He's the worst of those 64. I wonder if he doesn't get to, move well enough to play all the way through and get them all the way through. And again, that's quite worrisome when it comes to, a starting goaltender. Of course, the whole Jack Campbell situation with the Edmonton Oilers, sort of propelled Stuart Skinner into that starter role a bit too early. But I mean, you're in the NHL for a reason. You have to sort of, play up to those standards. And if, the Oilers had, just a somewhat better goaltending situation, they would be, a juggernaut in this league. But when it comes to the inconsistency, you never know which type of Stuart Skinner you're going to get from game to game, and that's the part that really worries me. You can talk about Dustin Schwartz, the Oilers goaltending coach, all you want, but it's about the skills applied in game. And Stuart Skinner, again, as much as I love him, I know it seems like I'm harping on him constantly, you just need to see something better from him game to game if you want the Oilers to go anywhere. And when it comes to not just goaltending, but defensive positioning, Kris Knoblauch had this to say about the two second and third Islander goals. He says, I thought really the second goal was played poorly. They were able to get the puck in, and everyone's kind of just standing and watching, not doing a job. In the third one, we were in pretty good positions. Our stick hits in the wrong lane and tap, it's in our net. But we could have played the last one a little bit better. That's something that makes the coach's hair turn gray, and he's already gray as it is. So a little tongue-in-cheek comment from Kris Knoblauch. And I think it was Ekholm who was sort of near Stuart Skinner in the crease, made up for it in overtime. So Ekholm wasn't really his fault whatsoever. But the Oilers, I mean, with their defensive positioning, especially for the second goal, of course, all 5 guys near the puck, and this still ended up in the back of the Oiler net. So there's still some work to be, tightened up in the Oilers zone when it comes to their defensive positioning. But with all that being said, I mean, win's a win. It sounds like, I'm making it sound like the Oilers did lose last night, but the Oilers certainly made it interesting, and they will continue to make it interesting, tomorrow night, Thursday night, against The Nashville Predators, of course. I mean, how many times have I mentioned the Oilers are playing the Nashville Predators this season? Yes, this is the third game of their 3-game season series, and it goes tomorrow night at Rogers Place against the Nashville Predators. And again, should be an interesting one. Leon Draisaitl, the mayor of Nashville, facing his favorite team once again, and for an opportunity for Connor McDavid to get point number 1,000, especially at home. And if he won't get it at home, there's a good chance he'll get it at his actual home in Toronto against the Maple Leafs. But history should be happening very soon, right before our very eyes. That's it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about the entire game last night, and what do you think about Stuart Skinner. And if you haven't yet already, make sure you subscribe to Oilers Digest. That's it for today's video. Have yourselves a fantastic evening. I'm Matt.